And he got to that point that he was, and then I felt really bad itself. I saw him,
And you
of course,
mentioned-
because of the rebelness, like he drinks, he's all that stuff.
He drinks his
all that stuff.
You mentioned you were a dropout?
So I'm 2 years older than my brother, but we were in the same year level. Because I dropped out twice. Good for 2 years. So at one time, year 11, year 12, both 2 years. Year 11, year 12, we were in the same year. So we were in one classroom. So that's how rebel I was, pretty much. Don't have a bachelor's degree as well.
You don't.
Look
where you are.
But your asset is you're good in numbers. So
I think my biggest asset is God. My faith. That's number one. Two is his gifts to me, which is good in numbers, which is my brother is good in numbers
as
too.
well.
He's really good in talking to people.
That's a big
asset. Being entrepreneur and
Probably got bored in school. That's why he dropped out.
That too. I got bored in school.
Not too much challenge.
That's right.
I could do it.
That way.
Maybe it didn't really interest me, or I had other options back then.
You were so eager to get out in the world.
Could be, or I was just so eager to play golf, like golf. So I guess that's one learning. I know if you see someone struggling in life, never underestimate them, because who knows, in the next 5 to 10 years, you might be looking up to that person.
What gave you that confidence? Despite of, because especially for Filipinos, we're very, we focus too much on what we've achieved, for example, in schools and all that, and that would sort of give us the confidence to go further, But for you, you were a dropout, there was a lot of things that happened. But what gave you that confidence to actually really push forward?
Well, he just, for me, seeing him all through the years, he's just fearless. Like he always takes risk, and I guess the thing as well is our parents kind of let us to be like just to go out there to the world and learn it through there, and I guess he got surrounded by great people afterwards as well.
And I guess your faith would really have a big
impact.
Big impact.
I think two main things. One is if you got faith, if you have God in your life, pretty much, you're confident to what your future is.
Correct.
So you'll take all the risk. Smartly, of course, and be wise. So you have to learn God's word, and everything needs to be aligned to what His will is. You can't love money, of course. For us, we don't. If our bottom line principle is not to make a lot of profit. It's to offer the best service as much as we can do.
Excellence.
Excellence. And then that will just in turn give us clients. They'll just refer, and we make mistakes. It happens, but at least out of 100, maybe 10% is a mistake. And 90% is, we get it right, and then we just keep improving from there. So I think for me, number one, if you're confident of your future because you got God, you'll be fearless, 100%. Number two is, I'd like to jump onto that. My dad actually didn't force me to become anything. He forced me to become a nurse, be a lawyer, or an engineer, accountant,
architect.
He just told me I'm grown up. I think I know what to do. I didn't really, but I got God anyway, so he just aligned it. So I think that's a learning for us, especially the new generation, to just guide your kids. Don't tell them what to do in life, but let them explore.
Because what they are not yet.
Don't tell them to do what they're not supposed to do. If they want to become a nurse, then that's great. A lot of kids still wants to be a nurse. But if they want to become an entrepreneur, if they want to do something else, support them, because it might go a long way. And I think that's what my parents have done. And then, despite I failed so many times, they've already accepted me as a headache. Used to me. And eventually we got there because God was there anyway. So
nice.
I think deep inside they believe in you guys. And that's why they just let you.
Yes and no.
I would say yes, and then at the end of the day, we like as a family, if someone will, will
struggle.
Yeah, will struggle
Yes.
or will.
They would always still be there to support
yeah,
you.
like us.
Stumble.
Blood will always help blood.
Yeah, blood
is
that came from my dad, so he will always.
That's
Beautiful.
Yeah. So always be there. So that's a good learning for all of us. Despite whatever our kids do, should still support them because maybe, they might drop out of school, they might not finish a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. But and James as well. He didn't drop out of school. He was he's a maths wizard kid. He's the maths guy.
It's only until year 12.
But they could turn out really, really good.
Yes. What was the turning point for you? You said that you were a rebel. When did you just wake up one day and said, this has to stop and had to straighten my path?
Yeah.
What happened?
So one is I guess, and every entrepreneur will say it. What's the purpose when you wake up in the morning?
Okay.
So we're just not here to exist,
Yeah.
So if you have faith, then if you believe in God, of course, it would tell you that you would have a purpose and what your purpose is, of course. Otherwise, you look for a purpose. Maybe some people would look for help with you. For me, it's when I wake up in the morning, I always ask myself, okay, what's my purpose? And it's quite cliche, but of course we're not here to be alive and just to exist.
Yeah.
So even it goes back to why we created the business. I mean, we ask why the name, but not why we created. And one of the reasons is to help. Because we know numbers. That's what God has given us. We can talk to people, we can guide them, because that's also one of the biggest things that we lack in our Filipino community is financial literature or financial financial literacy, and quite many actually would fall into the trap of not being able to make good financial decisions. Yeah. So for us, that's our calling, and then that's why we're here. And not only that, even the people that we employ, we also help their families too, and and we do it with a purpose. Once you do things with a purpose, you'll actually you will become fearless. You'll have a goal. You'll be focused, and you'll be very motivated to wake up every day. To not look forward to the weekend, but to look forward for tomorrow. So it's an odd thing, but it's just for me anyways. I just had to pray for that purpose, and it came.
So you're talking about weekend. Do you ever take a break? What is your day off?
I do now. Now that he's joined me. Saturdays and Sundays.
We don't operate on weekends, guys.
Monday to Fridays only.
Monday to Friday.
Mondays to Fridays only. So we gone back. So back in the days when I started off, of course, it's like every waking hour I work. So 15 hours a day, 7 times a week. That's the best time. Well, if you don't have kids yet, it's the best time to
do a business.
Do a business, risk it all, pretty much. And then because if you it got to the point where I was looking coins in my wallet because I couldn't pay the bills.
I know that feeling.
So so that's eventually after maybe even 80% of businesses fail within the 2 years of operate, as we all know. But as you push through those 2 years, eventually your happiness will come back again.
Right.
Some people will start to support you because they can then see your hard work. And eventually you can have your weekends again. Going camping this weekend.
I feel like we're in a motivational talk, not a financial. Sorry. Really good. But can I step back? So talk about your balance in life and work balance. So I want to step back what you said before. So you both working, and James, you work like you partner with him, and I know you work with same principles and values, like hiring a good partner. But I want to set back with how you achieved it. So now you can work literally no weekends. And we talked about process, right? So you mentioned a few times that you're not a boss but a leader.
Yeah.
And you can, I mean, if I'm looking at it, you can say I can leave the job to him and it will go well.
Yeah.
So how did you get there? Like now you balance the life, and you know you have James as well supporting you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't think we can still I carry a business. So we still be needed there.
Yeah.
But in a sense of, I think that business will still operate even though he takes a break for a week, I would say. But
especially when you become a broker, then
and when I get my license, if I can use my name to
Is
sign
this how long?
loans,
When did you get your license?
hopefully by the end of this year.
yeah,
Good
not
job.
fun.
And then
I can retire.
Look at outside,
Yeah.
you'll be bored.
Yeah.
Well, once you retire, you'll be asleep and you're gonna be wake up. Oh, what's my purpose? Cycle again.
Yeah, well, going back to process, it's you have to come up with there's no shortcuts. Hard work and work hard and work smart. You have to come up with, if you have to start with an Excel sheet, do it. Write down all the steps, each one. So it might take you 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day at night, 9 p.m. to 1 p.m. when no one's actually talking to you. Yeah, and so you can then focus. We call that block time. So have a block time. Depends on what your capacity is. If you have 1 hour capacity block time and you're like, oh, I need to stand up. But eventually, as soon as you get into the work, it becomes 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So if you spend at least an hour or two a day, after 2 or 3 years, your process will be good. So it's just consistency of blocking that time, and being able, and come up with softwares. There's softwares that will actually, the more you research about how to improve software, how to improve process, you'll be able to actually achieve what you're trying to achieve, because you're just trying to go out there and trying to solve it. So for us, our process is very complex, but then again, once you actually so not everyone can, of course, do what we do. If you just need to be patient, and eventually you'll get there. But process. Everything's all about process in order to be able to deliver quality service, yet accepting volume clients and customers.
Wow. No wonder they got multi-awards.
I know.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there's one constant theme with almost all of our podcasts. It's about like mastery.
That's right.
Like with Van Castillo photography that we did last week.
A week ago. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. It's about mastery, and that's why you excel, because you just repeating the process and improving and learning from it. So where do you see Bai Finance in about 5 years from now? What's your vision
Oh wow!
for the company?
Are you ready?
We are ready. Should I hold on my
Brace yourself.
So Bai Finance is in the works of having a Bai construction as well. Bai conveyancing or Bai law. So that's in the works pretty much this year. We're also looking forward to do property development. It won't be called Bai Finance. It'll be called something else, but it'll be owned by Bai Finance Group. So we can also cater non-residents as well from Philippines. If you want to invest in Australia, we can do that. Do a subdivision and everything. There's even proposals of actually starting a mortgage broking industry in the Philippines as well. One of the first ones. So there's actually quite a lot. So 5 years. My 5 years is sort of 2 years really. So everyone is. My wife is. She's like, it's good to bring her along, but. To my journey, but it's not like walking the beach. It's like a sprint run in 100 meter. So Bai Finance will actually go quite a long way in many areas. So we're like, to an extent, we're sort of a T sort of person. Is what you call it, meaning your mastery is in those two things, which is property and finance. So if you just stick to that, you don't create other businesses from not in your industry. Then you'd be able to master your industry, property and finance.
Wow.
So yeah, that's where we project ourselves to be. So we don't know if it's going to happen in 5 years or it could happen.
Must
in
be
2 years.
6 months. Is there just a year and a half?
Yeah. I mean, we've grown 3 times for the past 12 months.
Yes,
So,
yes.
we don't know what will happen in the next 12
Yeah.
months too. So,
And sorry, ladies, they both are married. So.
yeah. Sorry, guys.
Miss the boat.
Sorry guys.
Sorry, guys and gals. Yeah, it is what it is. Don't worry, maybe we have friends. Oh no, we don't have friends.
We have other brothers.
We do, yeah. He's older. Yeah.
He's older than us, married as well.
He's married as well. Oh, 2 kids. Yeah, he's also a part of the Bai Finance team as well, actually.
Yeah.
So there's actually 3 of us supposed to be, but maybe in the next 3 months' time he'll come and join us. But yeah, as of now, he's just in the Philippines at the moment.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out.
I've got a question about things that may impact your credit score. So
Yeah,
for
sure.
example, credit card. Because there's a lot of misconception. So is it a bad thing using it, or if I have one, what should I avoid and do when I'm?
Biggest myth, pretty much, is when you have a credit card or a loan, you pay it on time, it'll be better.
For your credit score?
Or for a good credit score, not necessarily. Maybe in Philippines, in the US, but in Australia, no credit is good credit.
Yeah.
So just repeat that again. No credit is good credit. So if you can keep it low, your credit card. It's not bad to have a credit card. I have one, $2,000 limit. It's not bad to have one because the plane doesn't accept a debit card. I don't know why. So that's why I got one. I can't buy my noodles. And then it's I don't know. It's so good to have it's so good to have noodles in the plane for some reason.
That's a true story, by the way.
That's my story, by the way. Yeah, so no credit is good credit. Yeah. So that's the standing here,
Yeah.
and that just changed pretty much past 5 years. Of course, way back before, the banks will encourage you to get a credit card. Nowadays, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different in the US because I attended the seminar a while back, maybe 5 years ago, and they encourage you to increase your credit
Yes.
limit so you can buy a property using a card.
Wow.
Exactly what my sister did.
But
She has to buy.
Yeah.
No, she has to buy a car, and so the bank can see that
Ah,
she's a good payer.
like building your credit.
Yeah.
Alright.
It's
So
very
that's the
different in
US.
Australia.
It's not a myth. It's not a myth, but it's not here.
Just not
Yeah.
applicable here.
Yeah, that's an Australian myth. yeah. Here is the analogy is if you don't have a credit card, that means you can meet your lifestyle. You can meet the
Yes.
payments of your lifestyle. That's the way how the banks look at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different in other countries, of course, but in Australia, this is the way how we do it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so listen to the correct advisor.
At the same time, I also want to mention about car loans. It would also increase your borrowing capacity if you don't have a car loan. Or another way to do it is to consolidate it into your mortgage.
Yes.
Because it's
Yeah.
lower
Good point.
rate. There's a lot of
Yeah.
yeah. That's another thing that you can look at to increase your borrowing capacity.
Yes.
Yeah. There's quite a few things that you can actually sort of do, but yeah.
That's why it's good to speak with a mortgage broker because they would really look at your individual circumstances and give you proper advice.
Proper
That's
advice.
right.
Yeah, they know the deal.
Yeah.
Proper advice.
They will always look after our best interests.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
In your best interest, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And especially when you have for property investors when you start to to try to purchase on your third or your fourth property, it just gets more complicated.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And to really be making that plans with your mortgage broker, then at least you can already sort of it's like a game of chess, right? You move this, you move that.
Yeah.
So it was, it really just speaking with them is really mind-boggling. It's
Yes.
like, oh, I didn't know that I can do that or I can do
Yeah.
this. And because they could see different banks, they would know, the policies. I didn't know, like, for example, if you have an ABN, like, oh, I can actually already use the income of my ABN, even if it's already just 1 year old. Because
Yeah.
we
2
thought it
months.
would be
Yeah,
we
2
thought it
months.
was 2 years.
Yeah.
in other banks.
Yeah, some banks will do 12 months. We've made it happen with 6 months even. Depending on your profession, of course. So if you're a medical professional, you were like a doctor for a long time, and then all of a sudden you're doing subcontracting as a doctor as well. So that's also something that the banks will consider. They don't need to wait for 12 months, 24 months.
It depends on circumstances.
Just depends, yeah. So it's tailored.
Individual circumstances.
Better to talk to us.
Better, and to someone who actually invests in property. Highlight.
So how do we get in touch with you guys? We're gonna put some link down below. I'm sure we're gonna get some comments. They're probably gonna request you guys to come back. Will you?
I know one. Pinoy's in Melbourne.
Pinoy's in Melbourne.
Remember Pinoy's in Melbourne.
Yeah, just type broker. You'll see the most recommended there. Just try it. See how it goes.
We'll do it in real time.
Unfortunately, we don't have business cards. We don't have websites.
Explain that.
Yeah, so we don't have a marketing budget because all our budget is towards our process. That's what we've allocated in order to be able to develop quality service, quality process once again. So that's where all our budget is. If you do want to keep in touch with us, keep in touch with them first, and then they'll let you know about us. So definitely tune in TaxSmart Casey. And then they'll let you know about us. Otherwise, just type broker in Pinoy's in Melbourne. You'll see the most recommended there. If ever though you really want us to keep in touch with us specifically, just type Egen Bai Finance in Facebook, and then it'll just come out.
Easy.
There you go.
One more question.
You can afford.
Do you work closely with accountants, or do you ask your clients to work closely with accountants?
Both. Yeah. So I work closely with accountants, and I tell my clients to work closely with an accountant. So especially if they're leaning towards an investment property portfolio, it's best to speak to an accountant that actually does investing. And also is because some accountants are good with businesses, some are good with individuals, and some are also good with investing. So speak to one, and because your lending advice will also matter on what your accountant's advice as well at the same time. If your property investment portfolio will also so you have a few professions, not just a finance broker, but also your tax accountant, your financial planner as well at the same time. Mainly those three. Of course, you'll have your agents and your conveyancers and everything, but in terms of finances, those three people are the key professions that you need to work with. So 100%, find a good team. Find a good team, a great team, award-winning team. And then you'll be in good hands.
I like it because most of the people don't know what a broker is. And now the more you know, and these are the teams of people you're gonna get in touch with. So you don't want to walk in the dark, right? So you want to work in someone.
And I guess don't be afraid to ask your accountant or your broker, what are your investments? Do you have properties? Do you have personal experience about it? Because then you'll have faith in them. They really know what they're talking about, and not just by the books or
That's right.
I would say just lay it all out. Even your other investments from Philippines and all. So we have clients that have properties in the Philippines too, and they've laid it all out. And we have scenario 1, 2, 3. What if we sell your properties in Philippines, convert it to here? How many properties can you afford here? What would be the projection of the appreciation of the properties compared to Philippines or a year? What's the return of investment? In Philippines, there's no tax deduction for property investments. I don't know why, but over here in Australia there is. So that's one big advantage that not many people would consider. And so those just lay it all out. Tell them all what you have.
Be honest to you.
Just be honest to
those three.
And God.
Of course. Well, he's not a person, so if you're not honest, we're gonna find out anyway. Work with those people.
And do you also do SMSF?
We do SMSF 100%. Yes. So SMSF is also a great tool to utilize, especially if you maxed out your borrowing capacity. Especially if you're just pay YGs. Usually you maxed out about 3 or 4 properties. And then, I mean, there's stages. You can do a reset or consolidation stage and do investing again. But there's a different strategy. But once you hit your 3 or 4 or maybe 5, depending on your income, you can look at SMSF. Of course, approach your accountant and financial planner on how to set that up. Make sure your accountant and financial planner knows SMSF as well at the same time, or have done it too at the same time. So it doesn't hurt to ask, have you done SMSF before in your own life? For your financial planner. At least they'll be able to say, I've actually experienced it personally too. So that they can walk your shoes. Because the worst thing is they're not walking the talk, and they're advising you something that they haven't experienced. That's just
and
that's illegal.
It's very important to speak with a licensed advisor, licensed SMSF specialist, because they will have to consider, your age. Are you close to your retiring age? Things like that. So there's a lot of things to consider. It's please speak to a license.
Ask them if they have a license, because they can just talk about it, but you have to check if they're
it's free to ask, right? Rather than losing money.
Exactly.
And getting involved with a broker is free as well. And you guys don't bite, right? So
Even our dogs are.
and then we do SMSF 100%. Yes.
what is your best advice for people who are afraid of cutting a credit card or expense, and maybe have the lavish lifestyle, cannot give it away,
It goes back to it goes back to what I said earlier. It's more on, don't listen to what other people say, because once you cut down your lifestyle, people will say, oh, this guy is not doing well in life. But you're the only person that can actually tell your financial circumstance. So I don't have a brand new car and all, but I've got 20 employees. So at the end of the day, you and your partner know what your goals are financially. Don't try to impress others that don't like you. That's my biggest advice. They may all have big houses and you may not have the biggest house, but you've got your goals in place.
So you're saying all these expensive cars, the fancy car doesn't measure my success?
No. 100%. No,
I don't have those things.
No, at the end of the day, we define what success is. We define it in our own self. But in relation to financial success, no, those I could be wearing $20 T-shirt or $10 T-shirt, but an entrepreneur. So at the end of the day, you're the only one that can tell what your financial goals and financial capabilities are. Don't listen to what the others say.
I think the problem there, so if you're not learning anymore, that's gonna be your downfall. Right? So
always be a learner.
You're always be a learner. And you're not intimidated to a person come to you and ask for advice, and this person maybe have multiple companies. Are you not intimidated with those people?
No, of course, definitely.
Met some big BDMs,
big pocket.
We met some big people, billionaires, all that sort. But at the end of the day, if you know what your goals are, if you know what your purpose is, if you know what your motivation is, if you're genuine of what you're trying to achieve, all those fears will subside. It'll just come naturally. You'll be motivated. You won't be. You just accept it that you don't. No one knows everything. No, you don't. You wouldn't know what you don't know. There's always room for learning, room for growth. I guess the best thing that you can take on there is really go out there and learn, and then take it into heart. Filter, of course. And then just be honest that you just want to learn. You just want to succeed.
Correct. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's ready to give. I'm just a student here, right? I'm thinking of so many things. So
You're not even 30.
No,
You haven't even reached 30.
He's a young entrepreneur.
Wow.
I guess that's also one thing. It's also biblical that don't let them look down on you despite you are young. It's actually in the Bible. So a lot of times when people look down on me because I'm young, I just say, okay, I've read that somewhere in the Bible, that I should be affected by that. So I just shrug it off straight away and move on. And eventually, you'll end up proving them wrong. You know, if you're genuine, if you've learned, you've invested in yourself. In fact, I've asked one person, which is a really good financial advisor. He's wrong. I asked him, what's the best investment you can do in your life? You know, and I was asking him about stocks and shares. He said, biggest investment is in yourself first. So you gotta invest in yourself, invest in knowledge, take a pay cut if you have to. You know, just in order to learn. And once you've learned, you can then apply that to your life, and then of course, then improve your income and everything else really in your life. So invest in yourself and don't let people look down on you. Just get
You look down on them with.
It's okay.
We're in the last few moments. It's a big hiccup because you have to, you know, if God give you one thing, you have to grow it.
Those who are faithful with a little will be faithful in much. That's what he says. Like a mustard seed. So 100%.
Okay, so the other day when we were having a chat, you did mention about the 7 streams of income. And how this is all biblical ways. Can you touch on this for our audience, please?
Yeah, sure, no worries. He even mentioned it the other day, the exact book, pretty much, which is in Ecclesiastes. I'm just going to read it now.
Yeah, go for it.
Ecclesiastes 11:12. It says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what the disaster may come upon the land. So it's actually not just a financial advice, but also a biblical, really. So that involves where it's like your insurance policy. Especially if things do not go well, it does say there, because you do not know what may happen or what may come upon the land. Especially now where we are, if there's a recession coming up, and there's always talks, and I think it's going to happen, everyone knows that to an extent. It's what the expert says. So if you have 7 streams of income, if 3 or 4 of the incomes would go down, the other 3 or the other half would actually go up. Because recession is not really more on money disappearing, it's more on money being reallocated, or money reallocating of funds. So certain industries will go down, certain industries will go up. So similar to COVID, retail, hospitality, and all that went down, but the healthcare industry, in fairness, in finance too, it actually went up in our industry. So everyone thought, everyone's losing their jobs and everything at that point in time. COVID, not in finance, not in healthcare. We're always hiring and all. And everyone else, as the nurse, you guys know that you're lack of staff all the time. You know, double shifts and everything. So have servants. Well, at least 7 or multiple, diversify is I think what we're trying to say. At least minimum 7. If you can have it more, then that'd be good. Speak to your financial advisor, of course, your tax accountant, and your finance broker of these financial advices, of course.
That's really good because at least I think that's one thing that we've learned during this COVID is not to put your egg in one basket, but to really learn how to diversify because we just don't know what's going to happen. Who would have thought this would happen?
Things that are impossible in our thoughts way back 2019, anything is impossible. A war could break out, and it's possible.
I don't know.
So diversify and have faith, 100%.
And we know that you guys are still young.
30 years old.
Yes, not 30
Not
yet.
even 30. We're not.
My goodness.
Wow.
But what would be your advice to your younger selves?
We're still young, so...
So you're 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
What would I say? I would just say that don't worry and have faith. Everything's gonna be alright. Just keep working hard, and it will just align through your faith.
That's right.
What would you say?
For me is, you don't have to be exactly where you are, or you don't have to figure it all out. If you're young, 18, 20, 25, 30, even 40s, you don't have to figure it all out where you want to grow in life of whatever age it is, you're young or not. Because what I was trying to do is, what's my purpose? I keep asking what my purpose is. I thought that I need to find it out as early as I can. But I just started the business 1 year ago.
Yes.
But now, so eventually, if you keep driving to what your purpose is, whether it is to help or whatever, God will guide you to where He wants you to be. And also, if you have that if you have that motivation to actually know what your purpose is, or if you want to be, if you want to have purpose, you'll eventually your industry might not even happen yet, or you're not where you are right now is just a stepping stone to where you're supposed to be eventually. So don't worry, don't be pressured. Your friends are doing this and that. Don't worry where you are right now, because as long as you have your goals in place, if you know what your finances are and all, and you speak to the right people, and you belong to a tax smart environment, a smart people environment. You eventually in time, in your own race, in your own timing, you'll definitely meet those goals where you're supposed to be. So don't worry too much what other people say.
That's nice.
You mentioned you're traveling, but can you invite everyone to the event?
Yeah, sure. So there's a expo for businesses, especially November 19th at Bunjil Place here at Narre Warren. Definitely come. Be with like-minded people. These are the people who are struggling the same problems as you, have the same questions as you. Talk to them, get inspired by them. Let this be fuel of your fire. Use this as a stepping stone as well. Learn. Meet us face to face. Bring as many questions as you can. It's probably the only time you'll ever see me as well, face to face. You never know. So just one thing I've learned, being where I am right now is, and James also asked me as well, at the same time, that why am I partnering with other people, and I don't need marketing at the end of the day. I told him, well, if opportunity is in front of you, you gotta grab it. Just grab it, and this is an opportunity. Don't miss out. So you gotta go. So we'll see you guys there.
There you go. That's the Pinoy Entrepreneur on November 19th.
10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lastly, your message to our kababayans out there. What's your message?
In general.
In general.
In general. Work hard and do it right. Don't take shortcuts. There's a lot of people that will advise you.
Surround yourself.
Surround yourself with smart people, smart techs. But no bias, and surround yourself with wise people who've actually worked hard, who actually did the hard work, who struggled as well, who failed a lot, but picked themselves up and improved, ask questions and all. Work hard. Don't do it the wrong way. Unfortunately, there's many ways in Philippines are not correct. So if we do it here, just do it correctly. Hard work and be wise. Eventually, you'll get to where you should be. All nurses know this. If you studied nursing, you went to uni, bachelor's. It wasn't an easy way. If you went to uni, all people that are in corporate sort of management, you have to go through all the little bits and pieces and all the hard work you have to learn. Even if it takes you to work full-time job while studying, while doing a side hustle, doing all that while you're young, just do it, and work hard. There's no replacement really. You won't regret once you've actually got there. It may take you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but it's okay as long as it's still progress. So little progress is still progress.
Wow, excellent. I think you've said everything.
Well, thanks for having us.
Doing this podcast and vlog with us. And this is the men of Bai Finance, Egen and James, and this is Tax Smart Cafe Casey. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye. Thank you.